welcome back to a message for you from Marva. I'm Marva Kent, and ooh, company's coming. Oh yeah, and the incense just got thick. So I feel called to do I literally was making just something said go make your coffee, and then as I'm making my coffee, it goes, yes, we're doing a coffee scry, and I went, now, and they said yes, now. So do be careful of where you put your phone. Um, you know, I wasn't gonna look at that message, and I have a very dear friend helping me out with something, and I want you to know that your friends, your good friends, your friends that love you, they're not the ones that will do. It's not that they'll do anything for you. It's that when they feel that they themselves might have been short or snippy with you, they call their own attitude out and look at you and say, hey, I think I might have been like this. And if I was, hey, I didn't mean to be. And you know, the funny part is that's something that I also do, because there are times when, as a neurodivergent person, I can sound really short and snippy. I mean, I'm 5'4". I am short. I am snippy. But I'm just saying, in general. Um, Earlier today when I was so yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. We got a lot of moons going on here. I've got my Luna the cat on the bottom of my phone. There's like two moons on her twice, and then all the moons there. So the goddess is out, the mother maiden crone, and it's raining out today, so it's ever such an interesting day. So hello, I hope this finds you all well. I guess I'm already, here we are. Okay. So earlier, a little bit ago, when I was looking in here, I saw four little things. Earlier, there were also two wishes, so make your two wishes and make them count. Also, I just got the name Fran. Hello, Fran. Or maybe there's a Fran. Fran, don't fall into the fool. And if you're transgender and you're thinking of the name Fran, oh, honey, that's a great name. And you could be called Franny. And you don't have to be a Francis to be a Fran. And I say this because I just saw the Fool, and the Fool is actually, it's a mermaid, like a siren on it. And that reminded me of the story The Little Mermaid, which is actually a trans story. If you've ever read the original, you understand it's a trans story. If you've ever read anything about Hans Christian Andersen, you very much so understand this is a trans man. This is a man who was trans, and that is exactly what that story is about. And I'm unsure of why I'm bringing this up, but I guess Spirit is having me do that. Because you see, you have to remember that, oh, sorry, excuse me, pardon me. Yes, we have a bump there, don't we? I mean, you have to remember that, you know, the thing about the Little Mermaid is if you bring the Little Mermaid into the form of what it is, into the human form of what it is, what you actually end up realizing is that when you couldn't be who you were, and you knew deep inside what you were, but you couldn't express it on the outside, in those moments back then, when you could, you had to be a silent person. You had to be a silent siren. You could look like a woman. You could dress like a woman. I mean, back then you didn't even have to shave, so it didn't even matter, right? But you had to pretend to be mute. You couldn't speak because your voice would give you away. And that girl over there, that Ursula, she knows. She dressed you up like that. Didn't she, Ariel? The name you use instead of Hans, right? So you've got to remember, Ursula understood what Ariel was. And I don't know why I'm saying this or who this is for, who needs to hear this, but the message is for you, right? Ursula understood she was setting Ariel up for failure because in the original story, Ariel dies because she's not allowed to talk. And because she's not allowed to talk, even though the prince is falling in love with her over a period of time. And I'm being shown like people going away for like a vacation and someone being who they are and falling in love with someone and having to pretend to be mute, because if I open my mouth, what's going to happen? He's going to know who I am. Seven of Swords. He's going to know who I am. And who I am right now is not what I want to be, right? Because I feel like a woman on the inside. I am a woman. I'm just not allowed to be one on the outside, right? But Ursula knows this. And Ursula takes full advantage of it. And she steals the prince away. Because that is the original story. And I don't know who needed to hear that. I don't know who needed to hear that. I actually, I can feel spirit. Obviously, we can all feel spirits. All of us clairvoyants and mediums, and all to different degrees. And you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Hans was just here. He says, thank you for telling that story. Because he needed you to know. And I don't know who you are, but you are so loved and cherished, and you need to know that. Not just on the other side, but here where we want you to stay. So keep yourself here, because this is where you need to be, because we love you. We love you. What's that? What's my favorite muffin cone on Bluey? Hello, little sunflower. We love you. Okay, so my little sunflower. If you're thinking of the name Fran, you go for it. If you want to be a Franny, you go for it. If you want to have an accent, you do your thing, okay? I don't know why I just had to give the explanation to the Little Mermaid, but I did, and there we are. It is a trans story. It is what it is. I just was told God loves all his children. It doesn't matter what they look like or how they're shaped or formed. Okay, that's gotcha. This is my favorite card in the whole deck, though. You got this one and Beauty and the Beast, and which is the Lovers, those two. So let's see what we've got here. A few rings on the side. Someone is sailing away from something. And they're in their boat with their paddles. They're going off into the sunset. And I see a bridge It rides through the San Francisco Bridge for some reason. Not that I've ever been there, but of course now I'm thinking needs a cheese and Christopher Moore. But I thought about that earlier too. I thought about Needs a Cheese. I haven't thought about Needs a Cheese in a while. I love that book. Well, you got to start off with A Dirty Job, and then A Dirty Job goes into Secondhand Souls, which is the second book by Christopher Moore. It's Christopher Moore. And you know, that second book has to do with somebody who decides to jump off the San Francisco Bridge. So you know, at first I thought that this might be like a, oh, don't hurt yourself thing, but for Fran, I feel like that's a please be who you are. Be who you are, because Hans Christian Andersen came through to me and he needed you to hear that story, because he needs you to be who you are, because he says he couldn't be who he needed to be in life. He wasn't allowed to be. And he would have loved to have jumped off a bridge, but he's like, I couldn't do that. I just had to be. And you know what? I actually don't know how he passed away, so maybe I should look that up. If someone knows, let me know in the comments. So he says, please be who you are. And I'm seeing somebody who may not necessarily be able to get out of the area where they are in order to be who they are, but be who you are, even if who you are is who you are at home, and plan your way to get out. Because the moment that you get out and you can be who you are, you're going to be so much happier. You're going to be so much more self-satisfied. And he just wants you to be who you are, because you live in a day and time and an age where you can be. And he says that was the point of Marva retelling the story. We got some Marthas going on here. That was the point of me retelling the story like that, because he's like, where I came from, I couldn't be who I was. I couldn't be with the man that I loved. I couldn't tell him that I loved him because I had to pretend I was mute. I couldn't be who I was. All I could do is watch. Because eventually, he says, when you can't tell someone you love them, they will walk away. So I'm not sure who just needed to also hear that. But I'm also going to heal Hans a little bit, and I'm going to let you know, Hans, that any person that loved you wouldn't have cared. They wouldn't have cared if you couldn't say how you felt. Okay, so let's just all remember that. I'm brought back to the Two of Cups again. The Two of Cups. So whether you're trans, whether you're gay, whether you're whatever you are, you don't actually have to stay in that. You can very much so be who you want to be and be who you are, because that is who you always should be. You know, no one should be something that they aren't. You're welcome. So any Christopher Moore fans out there, let me know. But I'm seeing you getting in your boat and paddling out from shore, leaving your home and things that you've known your whole life behind, and that's going to be hard. But I'm being shown it's not hard as in it's going to be a streak of hard luck. It's like you're going to be prepared when you go out. You're going to have what you need. You're going to land softly, as gently as you possibly can. You know, no one's saying you're going to, land into a fluff of fleece, of Charmin. But we are, saying that for you, for what you can do, you're going to land as safe as you possibly can. And from there, you're going to progress on to everything that you need, because you're going to want to do it, because you are living in logic. And you're making that choice to live there and feel more like yourself, so you can make that roundaboutness into who you are and bring who you are out externally, because I'm being told that is the most important thing right now. And that you be who you are. And maybe the person I'm talking to is Fran. Maybe, and you know what? Here's another thing they just said too is, if you're trans and your name is Fran and it can go both ways, hey, you do you, boo-boo. If that's what you want to do, you go right ahead. No one's going to tell you otherwise. It's okay to like your name. You know what? That's what someone just said. It's okay to like your name. If you don't want to change your name because your name is whatever it is, and you were named after your dad and you're trans, or you were named after your mom and you're trans, and you don't want to lose that beautifulness of being named after that person, you can take that name with you, because you can make it for whomever. John Wayne's real name is Marion. Don't know what to tell yous, but Carrie Elwes, I probably said that wrong, I'm apologizing. So they're saying, take with you what you want. If you don't want that name, don't take that name. If you do want that name, take that name, because I'm being told we're going into a whole new part of life where people are going to be able to be open and free and be who they are, and there are going to be circumstances and instances of people having really great homes that are loving and accepting, and this person just wants to keep this name because they were named after their father that died, or they want to take it, but rather than being David, they would make it more feminine. And Davida, I know that there is a way to do it, or like Danielle and Danielle. So yeah, don't know what that was about, but hey, here we are. We are having a coffee skry. You are gonna make it. Barry Manilow coming out in my mind. Looks like we made it. I see an eagle. A puppy with a predator head. If you get Pug Puppy with a Predator Head and you get where that song is from and you understand it's not Pug, we can be friends. Bird on a wire, thin line, thin blue line. I see one bird on a line. Like the last bird to stand there. I also saw an eagle as well. So that gives me hope for the nation. And if you know anything about pugs, they'll bite you, they just don't care. They're like tiny humans. If you know, you know. I also just saw an owl there, and I saw an owl shape in my leaf here. Mirror just asked to be more open. There's something about seeing, there might be a symbol about, maybe a symbol about one bird on a wire. You may see one bird on a wire, and that's going to mean for something for you. It looks like a blackbird in my mind's eye. I'm also being told that you may be being followed by crows, or have lots of crows. I didn't mean followed, but we're taking that as it is, because I'm not taking anything I say as a mistake. And I just saw a man's face across the way in someone else's door, but it was too big to actually be a, I just heard the face of Bo. So whatever the face of Bo means to someone, maybe somebody loves Doctor Who. I know I do love Doctor Who. Good sweet God, help me now. Something just said you need a man. Yeah, well, you know what? We all need a man. I keep getting something about fairy lights and moving. That's interesting. It's like a warm... You know, it's raining out, so I'm going to say this. Be careful as you drive, because one of the things I'm seeing in here is it kind of looks like what it looks like when your windshield wipers aren't too good, and all of a sudden it starts raining and you're like, crap, I didn't know it was going to rain this much. I mean, they're good for this, but not for this. I'm also being shown like a wine glass, and like hearing like chatter, and then like feeling somebody like, oh, I've gotten a little drunk too quickly. So either be careful of what you're consuming, or be careful of who you're leaving it around, even if that person is a friend. Take your wine to the bathroom with you, ladies. Gentlemen, take your beer to the bathroom with you. Yes, does it sound appealing? No, but will it save your life? 100%. I see the headless horseman. It's going to be a very powerful Halloween, a very powerful Samhain. I'm being directly called to call it Samhain. And there's something about the planets, there's something about Saturn. You know, it's funny because earlier when I was in the kitchen pouring this, I saw 4 bubbles that looked like the Big Dipper. Somebody could watch the stars with someone. And we had 2 little bubbles connect here. And there's an owl. This is divinely guided. This is intentionally created. When you two come together, there are going to be people who are very upset about it. There are now 2 swans. But this is faded, and although my swans are turning into a snake heart, I cannot take that as anything bad, because I'm kind of being told that these are not traditional people. These are the kind of people that would find a snake heart romantic. And what were we talking about earlier? Things that are just not traditional to the norms. Little explosions everywhere. And people are not going to be happy about this. And it doesn't actually matter what they think, because it's what you want to do, isn't it? Because every tiny little explosion there is someone upset about your love. And you see, your love rides on the top of this. The coffee itself is underneath. So your love rides right on top of that coffee. Let me see if I can get a good... I don't know if you can see that well. But it's like there's a layer of water and then the coffee underneath and the things floating. And then eventually you just go off the side into your own. Because that's how relationships work. So it doesn't matter who you're in your relationship with. They're going to love you no matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter what you have, no matter what you look like, no matter what your weight is. And they're not going to try to feed you to keep you bigger. They're not going to try to keep food from you to keep you thinner. They're not going to care if you gain 10 pounds. They're going to think you're the prettiest crow in the murder. They're going to want to get all the shiny things for you. And being told you are divinely protected by crows. Like, this might even be something, since you were little, the crows have been hanging around you. And I am being told, I myself have crows across the street. Okay, this is the second time I've gotten a Muppets reference. The first time it was just something that looked like oh, there's a lion. Strength, do have strength. But it was a skexy. Kind of looked like a skexy. Well, yeah, because what? They had to meet their counterparts, didn't they, in order to become what they were supposed to? No, I have not seen the second one. I've only seen the first one, and that's okay. I will get there. Guys, this is a real divine union. One of the things I see in this cup is this cup has a symbol of a horse on it, and this doesn't. And these chalices, they remind me of in Indiana Jones and the Lost Ark. It's not the Lost Ark. It's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I'm so terribly sorry. Where they were trying to find the cup, and what cup was it? What, that was the cup of Jesus? What cup would it be that would be the cup of a carpenter's son, or a cup of a carpenter, because Jesus was a carpenter? I was just told he built his own cross. If you're going to carry something, you're going to carry something that you built, right? Makes sense to me. But what was it he said? That the cup of a son of a carpenter would not be perfect. It would not be made of gold. It would be made of wood. And that's what this reminds me of. And this together, it feels like there's two very different worlds coming in. It feels like there's something splicing together that wouldn't normally splice together. You know, and this guy too, he has horns. And he has a halo, so you could even say the angel and the devil coming together. You know, this is a union that is very different from anything else. It is a union gift by God. Because, I mean, look at this. This is the story of Perseus and his mother, right? And that's God. Oh, my God. Then we have the sun, God Ra. I believe that's Ra. I could be wrong. But... I was just told this divine union is coming in. It's coming in fast. It's coming in now. It's going to be different than what you think. I'm being shown like all of a sudden it's like you're transplanted back to your childhood and you're running under the trees and through the bushes and you're yelling and you're screaming, but nobody is getting hurt. It's just everybody is dirty and everybody's having fun and no one's going to get in trouble for being dirty because we're older now. We're 53 now, and we can do this because we're adults. We can. And that's what it feels like. It feels like your childhood has come home to you, but as an adult. It's that scene in Sleepless in Seattle where she listens to him on the radio as she's going, to her mother-in-law's house. She's going from her mom's house to, I think, either home or something like that. And he's describing how he felt about his wife who had passed away. And you hear her say, it feels like they say, it feels like going home, both at the same time. And then she looks up and realizes that she drove home because his voice was so comforting that it felt like home. And that's what they're telling me. This feels like home. This is dysregulating, so be prepared for that. You could even be somebody that when you get a little dysregulated and you don't realize it, you get argumentative and you get kind of loud beforehand. Just keep track on that because this is your time to realize that. I feel like a broken record. There's a divine union of souls. I just felt a time shift. Either that or yeah. Sometimes a time shift can feel like a container car being put on the flatbed of a truck that's going really fast with a, helicopter. And that's kind of what it just felt like, something just like plunk, plunk. But it went plunk, plunk. It was strange. My father-in-law just said that's what it felt like for him when he saw my mother-in-law. Some advice for the moment. Do try to make your coffee with filtered water. It's a difference. There's just something about today. And it's like they're drawing my attention outside to the leaves. I don't know if we can see it through the door. You can't really see too much, but the leaves out there. And then it gets bright. Oh well. But there's something about all of this that makes me feel like I did when I was little. And not in a strange PTSD way, but in this way where it feels like saying, open the door to your freedom. Remember your childish enthusiasms. Remember that feeling of when you were little and you felt safe. Not all of us had that in childhood, but at some point in our life, we did have that. We had that sense of safeness. And it doesn't matter if you didn't have it when you were little. At some point in time, you had that feeling of safety. And it was that feeling of safety without owing anyone. Safety with recognition that you could be safe. There might have even been a little family around you. And they're saying, feel that safety again. You deserve to feel that safety again, and you should feel that safety again. You should always feel that safe, because feeling that safe is what is normal. That's safe internally, because you always know you're safe externally, unless you know you're not. But it's that internal safety that it's time for you to feel and time for you to recognize and see that is actually there. It's that internal safety that you hide from yourself. Yes, current times might not be perfect. They might be a struggle and they might be really, really scary. But at the same time, it's also an opening to a new chapter. And when we realize this is what the outside fear is, and we take control of what is inside, and by control I don't mean in a way that is mentally unhealthy, but in stopping and stepping back and saying, okay, this is reasonable fear, but this is not reasonable fear, this is insane. Or if you're someone like myself, and sometimes you have to step back and go, okay, this, you should have more fear. It's stepping back and realizing where you are on your fear register and making sure your fear is in the appropriate place, because if it's not, your fear will be overwhelming to you, and that's where we have the problem. That's why people can't love who they want to love and be who they want to be, because other people are in fear. And because they're in fear, your safety is threatened. Because they're in fear, you can't be the mermaid that you want to be. You have to be a siren. Because let's face it, what is a siren? I just saw a macaw shaped in the trees, not an actual macaw, but in my mind's eyes in the tree shaped a macaw. Someone may have one that might be significant. I know I've had exotic birds myself. Good luck to you. I loved my birds. They were amazing. And I'm seeing someone on a horse coming in. So you have a knight coming in. Whomever your knight is. I'm being shown they're going to take you down. Like Rapunzel from the castle. They're not going to take you down. They don't want to take you down. They don't need to. This isn't a reading for people who are in a damaged relationship. This is for people who need to know how to get out of the damaged relationship. This is for people who need to know what a damaged relationship is not. So you can recognize you're in a, yes, thank you, Spirit. So you can recognize you're in a damaged relationship. Someone's bulldog is letting them know they're safe, they're all right, they love you, they miss you, but they're by your side all the time. And every single time you think you feel that wiggle on your knee, it's them. Yes, that little bit was their butt wiggling against your knee. They want you to know they're safe and they're okay. And that you had very, very strong emotions. Like this wasn't necessarily the kind of thing where anyone was prepared for, but it happened, and they want you to know they're okay and they're safe. You've been worried about them being safe, and they are safe. And I'm being shown like grandparents maybe, or parents, or maybe the puppy's grandparents. I said puppy, so maybe this was a puppy that passed away. But I could also be getting a couple of different dogs, so, and people that need to know that they're safe. I see like this little like lamb like sniffing this dog. Or is that a llama? Also looks like someone riding a camel. A king is coming. Yep. King is coming to take down the beast. It's coming to rescue the high priestess. And give her the world. God, serendipity. Did I not tell you the king? Oh my God, did I not tell you a king was coming and I was just scrying through the trees? And it showed me a king and there's a tree. Oh gosh. Oh wow. Wow. Oh wow, he's taking that down. He's making you the empress. He's taking away your swords. Okay, this is my Ten of Swords. I'm being told that this person up here who threw you, who cut your fingers and threw you to the sharks so that you would die, your emperor is coming to pick you up, and he wants you to know that whoever this is, whoever this person is going to get their comeuppance. They're going to get, I was literally told they're going to get their comeuppance. They are going to be noted and seen, and you do not have to do anything. You just, excuse me, stay back and speak your truth, because I'm being told you spoke the truth to the right person, and the right person is going to come forward and validate you. This is very important. I'm being told this is coming from your mom. Your mom. Your mom is by your side, and this is your mom. I mean, people think it's this, but it's really this when you hurt my baby. And this person hurt their baby. So that's a little message from your mom to you. And now your mom is like granting you wishes, and she's like laughing her ass off. Oh, she's a funny one. She's like, yep, you bet your ass, Martha. 100%. She's like, yes. Like I said, going to be a lot of very upset people by this union. And also, this also looks to me as if how can I word this correctly? When I see this, I see two things. I see a man who's not allowed to be who he wants to be, so he's angry and shoves it down. And I see a woman who is upset that she can't have the man she wants because he's gay. But you knew, sweetheart. You knew. You knew. And once you did know, then that's when you should have stepped back and said, we got to find you a boyfriend just like me. Because he and I need to be able to, kibitz. And we need to be able to, make sure you stay in line. You know what I'm saying? And not in the way that is creepy and strange, but in the way that is loving and protecting. Because once you find out that the person that you love is gay, the person that you're married to is gay, trans, whatever, it's up to you to step back and ask yourself, if I was in this position, what would I do? Would I want to keep going on as I am and hiding and pretending? Or would I want to face this fact, go be happy, and then allow my spouse, who may be blissfully happy right now, to find the person that's going to make them more happy? Because right now, I'm just acting to make them happy. I'm just pretending to make them happy. Wow. And I'm being told this is the situation in their original marriage, okay? There's a lot of throat chakra clearing going on there, and I was specifically told throat chakra clearing because, even though you might think it's perfect, there was a lot of battling. There was a lot going on in there, and I'm being told sometimes the feelings that we don't understand when we're young, we understand as we grow in age. You battle yourself a lot because you just don't want to admit the fact that this is actually how you feel. And you may think that that marriage is happy. You may think that this girlfriend-boyfriendship is happy. But, and this is what I'm going to say because Spirit's actually pushing me forward to put it like this. When I was growing up, I grew up in the 90s. It was very common for gay men to not be gay because they couldn't be. It was very common for people saying that they were bi to say that they were bi because they were actually gay, and it was just easier to say you were bi instead of gay. We have moved past that. At this point, if a man says I am bisexual, he means I enjoy men and women. If they say they are pan, they mean what they say. We don't have to doubt that any longer. But there are some sects of cults where you can never be who you are. And you must always fight and battle yourself until you are hanging. And sometimes, too, I'm being told this can just be an internal thing that is done. I'm also being told don't salt religions completely because sometimes people they don't realize. Oh, that sounds so my grandma. But my grandma actually looked at me and said, well, so-and-so is gay. I'm like, they're not gay. And she's like, yes, they are. Yeah, you know what? It's a choice. It was 1992, and my grandma was nearly 80 years old. So, progressive granny. God, I love my grandma. I miss her so much. She a good lady. She was all Irish. But they just brought my attention here. And they're like, but you've got to understand in this relationship when you either you've got to reach a point in your relationship before you're getting married or at some point in your relationship where you're actually looking at the other person and saying, hey, are you sure you're not gay? And when they look at you and go, you know what, I think I might be bi, fine, be bi. Obviously. We are at that point now. It's like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. But when that person comes out, when we have that finality, and I might not actually be talking to people that are younger. I have a feeling I might be actually talking to people in their late 30s to 50s, 60s, okay? Because I'm sitting here and I'm asking Spirit, I'm like, I don't understand why this would be a problem. I mean, I feel like I'm talking about that Jessica Lange movie. I can't remember the name of it. It's about a woman whose husband is trans and he finally decides to transition, and she chooses to help him through it because she realizes it's either I'm going to lose the person who helped me father these children who I love, or I can deal with this and my anger towards it, because it is anger inducing, because you did love someone, you loved them very dearly, and now they're not the person that you loved, and now you're in a swim and you're in an ocean, and now you've got to figure this all out. And that's what they're saying. They're saying, as hard as this is going to be for you to do, this is hard for them too. So don't sit there and say they've got it easy. Don't sit there and whatever. Because for them to come forward and say to you, their spouse of 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 50 years. Because the young people don't have this issue, okay? The young people are literally taking action. You know, they're good. You know, they're hip with the change, man. You know, they're taking it with the sword of God. Their moms are behind them, leading into the sun. They're sticking it all to the, I mean, my God, they're even the phoenix rising from the ashes. Fuck. Here we are. So, you know, those are the young people now. So when I'm sitting here and I'm talking to Spirit, and I'm like, Spirit, this isn't young people, because I know my young people. And although they're not all perfect, no one is, everybody has their thing. I'm like, this, and even the way I'm saying these words, the way that they're coming out, it just felt very old and antiquated. And I mean, I'm 53, I get it, I'm old, I'm antiquated, you know? What am I supposed to do? I'm old, I'm antiquated. What do you want from me? But I also know that I'm hip to the jive, so brother. And I know that how I feel, and how when I don't know what something is, I step back and ask myself, A, is it hurting children? B, is it gonna hurt me? And C, what the frig is it anyway? But that's how you grow and change. That's how you grow older gracefully, is by giving grace to the things around you and choosing to understand them. Because at 53 years old, I have a lot of information in my brain. I have a lot of knowledge. And there are a lot of things at 53 that I can see a 23-year-old doing and warn them about. And if they don't listen, everything I say will come true, because I've been in that path. But we also can't allow that younger person to learn, because if they choose not to listen to us, they have to go on that journey and learn for themselves. And hopefully someplace along the line they go, oh, they said that, let's try this. So I am not talking to a younger age bracket here. I mean, earlier maybe, something like that, maybe somebody stuck in a religion where you're not allowed to be yourself, and that still may apply for you here if you're younger. So keep listening if you are, sweetheart, and remember, everybody is going to love you, and the Catholic Church will take you in. If you are Christian cult and you are trans and you are gay and you are scared, just go to the Roman Catholic Church. They will take you in, because that is exactly what the Roman Catholic Church has been doing for years. You don't think the Roman Catholic Church knows about, no wonder that popped out. Looks like noble insignia. It's my high school charm. My charm from high school. I went to East Syracuse, Manoa High School. ESM. So yeah, this is not for the young. The young know. This is for people in their late 30s to my age, 53 and over. Because I have a feeling there are some of you now that are kind of like, remember back in the day, the Hootie and the Blowfish came out, and they had to have that commercial that said, you know, you might want to move from hair metal to, you know, into the 90s. You might want to take your hair down a little bit. That's basically what we're saying here. We're saying at some point these people have reached a point where influenced is the wrong word. If somebody said influenced, it's the wrong word. Because influenced means that somebody influenced you to do something, somebody peer pressured you, somebody kind of pressured you to do something. So this isn't necessarily influenced. This is educated. You become more educated about your feelings and your emotions, and when you do that, you realize you realize at 53, all of these feelings and emotions I've had over the past 30 years are this. It's not that I don't love my wife. It's not that, I don't want to stay with them. But, what I'm going to say is the following. When you guys have this conversation, one thing I'm being told, and I'm really being referred back to the Jessica Lange movie, and I cannot remember the name of this movie. But his dad was a farmer. He's a very hard man, very cruel man, actually. And that was the day that her character goes out and sees him in the barn ready, and she goes, what is going on? And he's like, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, you know what? I would rather stay married to you and help you transition than to see you not be in this world any longer. And I really don't necessarily feel like this is for the person who is transitioning. I feel like they're gonna tell you, or they have told you, and if this was hard for them, I feel like this is for you. This is the person who doesn't transition. This is the person, like, I'm a girl, I'm not gonna transition, right? This is for you, that person that doesn't want to transition because they don't need to. It's okay. Every feeling and emotion you have right now is yes, that's okay to have all those feelings and emotions, even the ones that don't seem quite so fantastically wonderful. Just don't say them aloud. Write them down. And anybody who goes in, and I'm going to say this now, if you go into somebody's diary and you read something they wrote about you and it wasn't too kind, why were you in their diary? That's their special space to go and vent and say things that they wouldn't normally say to you. They can get it out, they can feel bad about feeling it, and then later on they can go and scratch it out and read it and whatever and realize, okay, that was a horrible feeling. Because all of this is about learning and education. And by the time you get into your early 40s, there's a whole different type of learning and education that has to take place. Yeah, your mom raised you when you were little, or whoever raised you when you were little, but at 42, there's a whole new upbringing that you have to do on your own. And part of that is coming back and realizing that you're not happy in the body you are, in the marriage that you are. This might be for some people who just realize, I didn't want to get married. I don't love this person. Da, 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 whatever the thing may be. But what I'm being told is, stop and step back. This wasn't easy for your person to say that they're gay. You've been married for 30 years. And he is looking at you after 30 years, 3 kids, first grandchild on the way. Daughter just got married 2 years ago. And you're going to say one of two things. You're going to say, well, that's not terribly surprising, actually, when you say it out loud. Totally understand that. Completely. What do you want to do about it? Are you bi? Do you still want to stay married? Do you want to date a man? However you guys are going to do it, go to therapy. Please, please. Make sure to get some therapy talk in there too. Even if you're, looking it up online. Anything is good. Or are you going to be the person that is so taken aback that, and I'm not joking when I say you're going to be taken aback. It is going to be like a sucker punch because you didn't expect it. You didn't even see it. Maybe your youngest son is gay, and maybe you were seen that since he was little, but you were completely blinded by your husband. I was blinded when my best friend came out as gay. My grandmother told me. I was like, he's not gay. She's like, he's gay. Like, he's not gay. And then I found out he's gay. Listen, I didn't peg George Michaels for gay. But everybody else, yeah. You know, everybody else I can tell. George Michaels, no. My ex-best friend, yes. I mean, no, I couldn't tell. So sometimes you're just blinded to it. But it's up to us as the person who isn't gay, who isn't bi, who isn't trans, who isn't, well, I'm bi, but who isn't trans, but the person who isn't that, to step back and go, okay, so where do we go from here? If he is gay, if he's telling me, you know, I've done this for as long as I can and I just need to be who I am, how are you going to handle it? What is your reaction? What is your reaction? Because how you handle this is going to determine how your friendship with this person is. Because if you're already in a relationship where you have a friendship and this person is secretly figuring this out, but they share everything else with you, and now all of a sudden you're the screaming Mimi, you have every right to those feelings and emotions, and no one's ever going to say that you don't. However, at some point, you have to put your sword down. And you have to be the one to stop and step back and realize that this was hard for him to come to me to say. And this is hard for me to hear. And some relationship I've loved for this amount of time with this much history and this much home to it is either ending completely or going off into a new direction. Now, maybe this new direction might just be your husband notices he likes men, he's bi. He might never date one. He might just be like, listen, this is really what I've noticed. And I mean, I still want to be married to you, but like, I'm positive I'm bi. Or me, he may just come out and say he's gay. He may come out and say he's trans. How are you going to deal with this? And that's what I feel like this is about. It's not about the person that's transitioning, it's about you. It's not about how the person who's transitioning or changing or having realizations is going to handle this, but how are you going to handle this? What is your attitude towards this? How are you focusing and dealing with your anger? Where are you putting your sword? Are you keeping your sword in your hand and laying it down a little bit to see what's going on? Are you taking a look around to see everything and realize, my God, I still love this guy, even though we're burning in the fire and he's putting down some stakes? You know, at some point, you have to be the one that steps back and says, I can be angry. And the person who's telling you this has to also understand that you're going to be angry. And I think that's kind of where we are right now, is people don't talk about the fact that A, this is really hard for a person to come and say to you, and B, your whole world has now been destroyed. A, this is the hardest thing in the world. B, what the fuck are we going to do now? Everybody has to step back, because this person just stepped back to come out and say this to you because they can no longer live this way. And it's time for you to step back and realize this was really, really hard for them to say. My feelings and my emotions are valid. I am allowed to be angry, but at the same time that you are having these feelings and emotions, whether you like it or not, you have to acknowledge how hard it was for that person to come to you and say that. Because the minute that you, in your absolute anger, bring out your 2 cups of love and realize how hard it was for this person to say this to you, that's the moment when you can talk. That's the moment of growth. That's the moment of acceleration, because you're in your anger is valid, but you're also understanding how hard it was for the other person on the other side. And the moment that you can have that balance together, I'm seeing the 2 of coins, traditional Rider Waite in my head. The minute that you can have that balance, that's when you can go forward. You're still going to be angry. You're still going to look at them and go, listen, I can't talk to you for 3 weeks. I need to, and do that. Look at them and say, listen, I need to go away and sort my anger out for a little bit. It doesn't mean you're going to go get drunk. It doesn't mean you're going to go do drugs. It doesn't mean you're having an affair, because that's all bullshit behavior, because nobody needs that. That's not real adult behavior. That is what players do. And no one wants to be a player, and no one wants to be a gangster. Okay? That's what your poppy does. That's what your mommy does. We are adults here. We are adults, and we don't go by little trivial gangster names. Yeah. We don't hide behind shit. Yeah, we're looking to stand in who we are in our own power. So it's very important what you do. And then, I'm not saying it's not important for the other person, but stop looking at what they did, because it doesn't matter what they did. They came up and spoke their truth. Now it's, what are you doing now that they've spoke their truth? What are you doing now that they're speaking their truth? Are you helping them through their truth as you're trying to navigate your own feelings and angers? Because remember, they had to come and tell you, which means they've been trying to navigate their own feelings for months, years. How long? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, because they've been trying to run to what everybody else wants them to be. So many different hands, so many different arms. They've been running up and down the ladder to just try to be something that they can't be. And at some point, they had to give in. They had to give in, because it's either give in and cut your losses, or wait for somebody else to do it. So, I'm just listening and trying to see if there's anything else they want to say. But they're really adamant. And yeah, they're really adamant. They're telling you there is someone I'm talking to. Okay? This is not for all of you. I am talking to someone who, and this is just one, I don't know if this is one specific, I'm not going to count any one person out. They're saying there's one specific person. I'm not going to take this as one specific person. I'm going to take this as there can be more than one, because obviously one can be many, because, you know, it's this. It can also be someone who is listening who needs to show this to someone else. And that is, you are angry that this relationship is dissolving, this relationship that you love, and now you're angry and you're stuck in that anger because you just can't get past it. Because you're angry that your life has been disrupted. And that's fine. You are allowed to have those feelings and emotions, because those are valid. It's valid. But at some point, you have to look at your feelings and emotions, and you have to realize that they have you going every other way, and they're cutting you off at the fingers. Your feelings and emotions have gotten so blocked up by the fact that everything is ending that you can't stop and step back and realize this person has been living a dual life your whole life. They've been trying to make you happy and keep you in this contentedness for your whole life. Okay? They've been trying to keep you happy to the point that they're splitting themselves in half. And they've taken a lot of time because they've grown in age. They understand their feelings and emotions, and now they need to tell you, and now you're in your 50s, and you're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? I get it. I am there. But what you do is you go to therapy. What you do is you talk it through. And your friends that say, well, he shouldn't have done this. He should have told you this years ago. Your friends that promote your anger, get rid of them, because you don't need the friend who's saying to you, well, he should have told you back before you got married. He should have told you back in 2015. He should have told you during COVID. He should have told you the minute he had a doubt. Get rid of those friends. They're only going to make you angrier. And your friend sitting there saying, you know, this must have been really hard for him to come through and say this to you, listen to them. For the person sitting there saying, my God, this really, really sucks, what are you going to do? Listen to them. The person who is trying to help you get out of that depression, listen to them. Because this may not be a relationship that was so bad that you can't be friends. This may even be a relationship where maybe you're just so stuck on the fact that the man said he's bi that you can't get past it. And if you can't get past it, that's perfectly okay. If you feel like you don't want to be married to someone who's bi or pan or gay or whatever or trans, that's acceptable. But don't be angry to the point that it bogs down your soul. Don't be so angry that you have friends that instigate you into more anger. Don't be so angry that you're looking at your friends who are trying to give you logic and reason and help you through this, and stop talking to them because you just don't want to hear their logic and reason. It's a big message for someone. I'm not sure who this is. So that is what I'm being told. I don't know why I just felt like I was drinking NyQuil. That's an odd thing. Maybe you drink a lot of NyQuil. You know, maybe you're losing sleep over this, so you're taking like a lot of the over-counter sleeping stuff, or like the NyQuil to sleep. And I'm being told to tell you to stop doing that because that's interfering with your sleep. Like, I literally had a spirit say to me, tell them to stop taking the NyQuil because it's making their sleep wrong. I cannot get the words out correct. It's like your words aren't coming out right because you can't quite get your thoughts together because you're not getting the right sleep because you're taking too much NyQuil because you're so overwhelmed and frustrated. I'm also being told that and yes, you might feel like a fool. You might feel like a fool. You might feel cheated out of that many years. Your feelings and emotions are valid. But you can't sit in your anger because your anger is eating you alive. You have to cry that anger out, and you have to feel that anger. Otherwise, the anger is just going to eat you. Because at the end of the day, everybody will move past you because you couldn't move on and be forward with everybody else. So those people that make you angry and instigate you into more anger because they're going, well, you know, he should have told you the moment that he should have just come down. Really, what would you have done the moment that he came downstairs and thought he might be bi, gay, or trans? What would you have done? Tell me, ma'am, what would you have done? You would have lost your ever-loving fucking shit. The same way you're doing now, except you would have been more cruel. At least now, this person knows exactly who they are and what they are, and they have had to tell you because they need to either end the relationship or decide where the relationship is going. If they're trans, do you still want to be in this marriage with this person? Do you still love this person if this person loves you and wants to pursue the marriage with you? Is this person bi, but they still want to be with you because they really don't want to date a man because they really love their relationship with you, but this is just something they figured out? Or is it that they're gay and they really can't be in the relationship anymore because it's not fulfilling because they've never been attracted to women, which is going to freaking hurt? It doesn't mean they weren't attracted to you. It doesn't mean they didn't love you. It just means they understand what their feelings and emotions are now. And that's devastating, and it hurts, and it throws you in here, and it makes you feel internally like both of these. And I'm being told you are the only one that can remove that blockage from your life. Excuse me. You're the only one that can clear that throat chakra. And that doesn't mean you're going to a smash room, because a smash room doesn't do anything. Yeah, it lets out the anger. But did you take care of the reason for the anger? Did you take care of that mental health reason behind it? Or did you just want to be violent for a few minutes? It's okay to go in there and take your rush of anger out. Make sure you understand what you're doing when you walk in there. Make sure that your mental health is being taken care of at the same time you're going in and smashing shit, because otherwise you don't know why you're smashing shit, and you can't reap the benefits of the psychology behind smashing shit and going, you know, I'm okay with this. I'm angry about this. I understand this, but I have this internal anger, but this internal, you know, so you're working it out, and now you went to a smash room, and now you've got, you know, all of the energy out, and now you can sit there and cry it out because you've got this energy out. Now you can cry it out, and you can have this catharsis that you need. And that catharsis removes the blockage. It removes the blockage. It brings you your 4 cups. It brings you your king. Oh, it brings you your 6 of wands. You know? Brings you your 6 of wands. And like I said, if he's gay and you guys aren't going to have a marriage, it doesn't mean there isn't anyone out for you. It means the person who is supposed to be there will be there for both of you. We live in a very interesting time right now, where we've gone through a period of time where people got married to get out of situations. People got married to get out of their homes. People got married to get married. And not a lot of those marriages were happy, because as soon as the 80s turned around, there were divorces left and right. I'm 53. I remember this. The movie 9 to 5 is a movie for a reason. All of those movies about people who are gathering and learning how, women learning how to be on their own for the first time, that was real. My mom couldn't have a checking account until I think like the early 80s. I never realized, I couldn't figure out why we never got a house, because my mom probably didn't have enough credit to get a house loan until the early 90s. I mean, this is how it was for women. But now, you have a chance at whatever age you are, between 35 and, I don't know, 103, to do the therapy, do the big girl work, and step aside and go, okay, I hate every fucking goddamn minute of this. Swear, do it all, but do the therapy too. Don't just, you know, sit there in your angst. Okay, you need to get out there as your page of sword and leave behind some stuff, because you know at the end of the day, you know too what was wrong in your marriage. You know too. I mean, you might even sit there and go, you know what? All of this makes sense. All of these years. And I'm gonna say it like this, okay? For some of you, I want you to sit there and because I'm 53, and if you're like 10, 15 years older than I am, you married a long, long time, like since the 80s, just remember, your husband is alive. He stayed faithful to you. He didn't have affairs. And he didn't go through a pandemic. Something just said there are a lot of men who got married in the 80s. I don't know if it's they were denying being gay, or I don't know, something, but something says it saved them from AIDS. This not understanding and knowing, or this denial saved them. And they know, because they've talked to God about it. They've talked to God about it, about how that. And they're not coming out of being gay now because they know they're not getting hurt. They are, okay, I'm being told that those are men who are already out of their marriages. They probably got out of their marriages in like 2005 and around then, when it became a little bit more freer. So I'm being told that you're going to find a group of women who are exactly, okay, thank you, Spirit, thank you. So I'm being told that you're going to find a group of women who are exactly in your same situation, and they're going to help you unblock this black feeling of anger in your chest. They're going to help you unblock this because they too went through this about 20 years ago. And these were women about 20 years ago who were my age. They're 53, they were in their 40s or their 50s, and their husbands came out as gay, absolutely gay, and there was no getting around it. So they had to figure out how to navigate this with the children that they had, because I'm being told a lot of children were younger. These were like young kids. So you are going to have a support system there. You are going to have a support system there, but it's only going to be the support system that you choose to take. If you don't choose to take the support system, then it'll just be standing there like a glass of water that never gets drunk by a thirsty person. You're thirsty, go drink the glass of water, right? You're confused about this, you don't know what to do, go look it up online. Find the support groups. Talk to the women who say to you, hey, this is really hard for you, and your feelings are valid. Let's help you get through this emotionally so you can go on. You may decide never to have a friendship with this spouse. You may feel so betrayed that you can never talk to them again. That is perfectly valid, and they're going to have to deal with your feelings and emotions on that. However, you cannot go Harry Carey crazy motherfucking shit. I was literally just told that. You cannot do you cannot set everything ablaze. So, Spirit, thank you. We're leaving on the Empress. Because at the end of the day, what you really have to remember is that not only is this going to make you stronger, not only is this going to help you become more knowledgeable, but it's also going to set you free. And that's, I think, what this reading has really been about being the person that you are supposed to be. I mean, we started off with Hans Christian Andersen and learning about how The Little Mermaid is actually a trans story. And now we're here with talking to women who are very angry that their lives are about to change or are changing. And if you're a woman listening to this, or even a man who has been realizing these things over the years about your spouse, start researching. So that when they come up to you, if they choose to tell you, you're not as surprised. Now, if they don't ever choose to come up to tell you these things and just choose to stay in the marriage because this is where they're happy, then be happy there. You know what I'm saying? I just got the number 2 in my head. In the song, life's a dance you learn as you go. Sometimes you lead and sometimes you follow. Don't worry about what you don't know. Life's a dance you learn as you go. John Michael Montgomery. There was another song that I channeled earlier, but I can't remember which one it was. So, being told the Blessed Mother is on your side, and just pray to her, because she's not going to lead you astray. The Blessed Mother gets it. She's been through a lot in her life. We're talking about a woman who was a 12-year-old being tried to be murdered by a king who didn't want her to be pregnant. So, she has been through a lot. I'm just checking in to see if there's anything else they want me to let you know. Okay. All right. I think we're done. And feel rings on my right hand, on my left hand. A middle finger ring. It feels like a man's hand. It feels like a middle finger ring and then a ring finger ring, but this doesn't feel like a married man. So I don't know what that is. Okay, so take that how it resonates. Anyway, love you guys. Be good, behave, be happy, be yourself, and remember, good night, God bless you, and we love you dearly.